Yeah, right. Hey, Michael Holding, the author, not the cricketer. Definitely not the cricketer. I'm going to talk about scams. They're everywhere. Scams are really everywhere. I don't buy stuff online anymore these days unless I can pay by PayPal. I think you've got a half a chance of getting your money back if stuff doesn't turn up. How can these people prey on innocent people, especially the older people, like me, for instance? Half of the emails you get now, they look legit from Telstra or MyGov or some other crowd, saying your money didn't go through, we didn't receive our payment, push this button now, pay the money now. But most of you know, if you click on the sender at the very top of the email, you will get a drop down. If it is real, it will have the real email address, like telstra.com or whoever it should be. But if it's different from the company sending it, it's a scam. One of the Roxby Series books that I wrote, Living in the Eaze, is about a big scam, a very big scam. I think it's probably a book you should check out. Anyway, today we're diving into the book that doesn't arrive with explosions, assassins, or glamorous villains. Instead, living in the ease creeps up on you slowly, like debt, like pressure, like that feeling in the middle of the night when you suddenly realise your entire life is balanced on repayments, overtime, and pretending everything's under control. Welcome to the podcast. And this is not a story about evil geniuses. It's a story about ordinary Australians being slowly cornered by arithmetic. And that's what makes it dangerous. This novel opens up in cold Canberra with frosty mornings. Scott and Elizabeth Watson, a young couple, doing what millions of people are doing right now. Working hard, paying a mortgage, unreliable car. Hanging in there. Scott delivers gyprock. Nothing wrong with that. Elizabeth works at the reception in a tyre shop. Nothing wrong with that. Neither of them are lazy. They're not stupid. But there's a line in the book that quickly lands like a hammer. You just have to hang in there. And that becomes their philosophy. Not ambition, not dreams, not survival. And it's not romantic, not dramatically, just truthfully. The cold showers, the cheap whiskey, the rattling dashboard and the Corolla, the mortgage letters waiting in the mailbox like small monthly threats. It feels real because it is real. But then enters Greg Martin. And Greg is fascinating. Not because he's some cartoon villain, but because he represents modern aspiration wrapped in confidence and expensive cologne. Greg lives in Mossman, overlooking Sydney Harbour. Woo-wee! He drives the right car, knows the right wines, speaks the language of success fluently. But underneath it all, he's drowning, completely drowning. And this is where the novel becomes incredibly sharp. Because Greg himself is trapped inside a lifestyle he can't afford to lose. The house owes him more than he owns the house. He survives on image, momentum, and the desperate hope that one more deal will save him. And then comes along Maverick. Yes, Maverick. It's an exclusive investment scheme promising 20 to 25% returns, paid quarterly in cash. It's an invite only, no banks, no tax, no questions. Now, anyone listening rationally should immediately think, well, that sounds insane. But understand something very important about human beings. People don't fall for schemes because they're greedy. They fall for them because they're tired. Scott and Elizabeth aren't trying to buy Ferraris, they're trying to breathe. They want relief. And Greg doesn't hard sell them. That's the brilliance of it. He sells atmosphere, lifestyle, belonging, opportunity, you name it. The harbour views, the wine, the confidence. He sells the suggestion that there's a secret world where money finally works for people instead of against them. And honestly, you can see why they start believing him. Because the novel quietly asks a brutal question. If the normal system already feels impossible, how vulnerable do ordinary people become to anything offering hope? That's the engine underneath this entire book. Not crime, hope. False hope. The writing itself has a calmness to it that I really like. There's no rush scenes, the conversations, plenty of time to breathe. There's an understated Australian dryness running through the dialogue, especially with blokes like Greg who can casually discuss catastrophic financial decisions while pouring another scotch. And there's another layer here too, class, not loud class warfare, subtle Australian class tension. Canberra workers looking at Mosman wealth. Tradesmen staring through glass at lives they suspect they'll never have. People trying desperately to cross invisible lines society pretends no longer exists. The most uncomfortable thing about living in the Eaze is this. You never entirely know whether Greg believes his own lies. At times he sounds manipulative. At other times he sounds like a man desperately trying to recruit new believers because he himself needs the dream to stay alive. That ambiguity gives the story real weight. By the midpoint, the novel stops feeling like a financial story and starts feeling like psychological erosion. Every decision gets slightly easier. Every compromise becomes slightly more reasonable. Every warning sign gets explained away because the alternative is admitting you've made a terrible mistake. And that is exactly how people slide into disasters. Quietly, gradually, and logically. That's the genius of this book. No dramatic switch flips. Nobody wakes up evil. Nobody thinks they're a criminal. They just keep hanging in there. And maybe that's the most Australian thing about the whole novel. So if you enjoy intelligent Australian fiction with financial tension, social realism, understated humour, and that slow creeping sense that everything is balancing on rotten floorboards, living in the Eaze is worth your time. Not because it's flashy, because it feels uncomfortably possible. And honestly, those are usually the stories that stay with you the longest. Until next time.